So hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Amesey's Corner. So I'm here in my bay today, Amesey's Corner, and to answer a 10 list that you guys have been asking for a long time. And it's kind of a toolbox tour / top 10 tools that I own that you guys probably haven't heard about that you want to own. So let's get right into this. Number 10 would be, say you got a hose clamp, one of these springy clamps, and it's down inside of a really hard to get place. You can't get a pair of pliers on these clips. What do you do? What do you do when that happens? Well, what do? I reach for my hose clamp pliers right here. So let me set you up, and we'll see how these work, because I have two things. My 10 and 9 kind of go with each other here on this. So say you've got your hose clamp here on there. Let's see where you guys are looking. That'll work. And you can't get to it like I was saying. Well, you'll reach for this tool here. Really, real neat unit here. It's got this end here, which you can see what we're doing here. We're going, and you'll put this on. It's got a nice little lock. We'll squeeze it down, and it holds it nice and open, just like that. Now, I got a punch in here because I couldn't find a piece of hose, but this would be number 10. This is from Snap-on. They actually make a version of this from KD Tools, which is a lot cheaper and actually probably a little more durable than the Snap-on unit. But that's number 10. Now that you're in that tough spot, how do you get the hose off? Well, number 9 would be my hose remover pliers. Now, these right here I've had for an awful long time. Really simple tool, and you stick that down in there. Could have it the right way. Bear with me. And it pulls the hose off. Now, granted, this was easy to take off, but if this was down inside of someplace you can just barely get to, these two tools go together like peanut butter and jelly. 10 and 9. Real cheap. You get those from KD. So my next, we'll just put this over here. We'll put stuff away later. Number 8. Now, working up here in New England, we get all sorts of rotted off hardware, stuff that you just can't get out. You put your socket on it, it's stripped off, rusted off. What are you going to do? Well, you can try with vice grips. You can cut the fastener off. What I like to use right there. They're called turbo sockets. What these are sockets with flutes in them that grab onto whatever's. I actually got a nut that was rounded off, still stuck in right there. But yeah, turbo sockets. I use these whenever I've got hardware that's just you can't take out. These are great. If you're working on an old antique Ford, then you need a set of these, because it kind of makes what would be a real sticker in a job, you know, a rounded off piece of hardware in a hard to get place. I've never had these fail me. These have taken everything I can get them around right off. So yeah, that's number 8 right there. Number 7 would be, well, same draw. Really simple tool, a 1/2-inch impact socket. Now, real simple. Maybe you guys have seen universal sockets, but this one right here is specifically made to go with a 1/2-inch impact gun, and to get stuff out. Say you got to put torque around the corner, and a lot of torque around the corner. This will take it. This will take it. Now I also have a 3/8 version of that, which is the same thing. Just uses, if you got sockets that you only have in a 3/8, then you'll use that. But those right there are a time saver. You know, something you would normally just barely be able to get a wrench on. You use that, you can get torque around the corner with your gun. You know, a nut or a bolt that would take 20 minutes to get out. You get that on there and just one pull of the trigger, you're good to go. So, number 6 would be something I got for the Sonnet, because I had to do a lot of metal work. And I think you guys have seen, like in the Honda crash victim there, where I had to redo the radiator support. When you remove it and you got bent metal and you got, you were using to drill spot welds, and the metal gets all bent in the wrong direction, you got to straighten it out. Well, my go-to tool for that would be my body hammers. Use these to get panels straight. You'll use the hammer. I got a couple different styles. Probably these two are probably my most commonly used. But those, and then the dollies that will go with it. You'll put this against your bent piece of metal, and you'll sandwich it between the hammer and this. You got different curves and shapes. But if you got bent metal that you got to get back, or you're making your own panels, those are the tools you need to do that. So what do we got next? We got number 5, my trusty old, well, it's not that old, impact air ratchet. Now that is a really cool tool. I do have some complaints. My biggest complaint is the length of it. I kind of wish it was just where my hand is, but you know, it is what it is. It just spins. You can't use it like a regular ratchet. Now what we used to use in this situation would have been a regular air ratchet right here, but these are kind of dangerous. Believe it or not, these can be dangerous. This tool here is really fast, really powerful, and really loud. Sometimes when you're using it, it can get jammed on in the motor or in whatever you're using, and it can wedge your hand up and you can get stuck. I actually got hurt, pretty nearly broke my wrist with one of these once a few years back. But because this uses impact, it really has no rotational torque on it when you're using it, and it just hammers off the hardware. So that's a big one that I wish I had years ago, but it was expensive when I bought it. I mean, this was the better part of $500. I've had it for about 2 years now, and I don't use it every day. I don't use it on every job, but when I use it, I'm glad I have it. And then next would be number 4. I'm going to go back up to my top drawer here. This is where I keep all my sockets. You'll notice I keep all my sockets and ratchets in one drawer, and my wrenches in the other. You kind of group tools together as you know you use. I use my sockets the most, wrenches the second most, my screwdrivers. You know, I got my screwdrivers the next. I use those the next, and those go down. And then you know, pliers and whatnot. But yeah, the number 4 would be my 3/8 impact swivel sockets. Now you're going to notice I really like impact because they're tougher, they're stronger. But these right here, just like with the, pretty much the same as the swivels, but you can get these in a little tighter spot. Pretty pricey set, and another set I've had for a long time. I think I bought this set back in 2003, and I've had it ever since. You know, you break them, they do break, but a lot of my tools, because I buy them from the big tool companies, they're all lifetime warranty. So if any of those break, he comes in every Friday, I give them to him. He's usually got them on the truck. So yeah, 3/8 impact sockets. You got to get like a bell housing bolt way up inside of a transmission tunnel. Use a bunch of extensions in one of these, go right on it. So that's it. Those are big. Those are one of my favorites right there. So number 3 would be something I had never really seen before until just recently. I actually saw this in a motor mag, one of these motor magazine publications, where sometimes they'll have like upcoming tools that are going to be coming out in the future. And I saw this, and it reminded me of my Saab 9000 boost leak check video, where I had to make a rig. I actually still have that rig right here for testing boost leaks. You can also use this to test for leaks in non-boosted cars and in intakes and stuff. Well, another way to do that is with a smoke machine. You'll use a smoke machine. I actually saw Scotty Kilmer recently did a video where he was using smoke, but something he really didn't allude to that is very important when using a smoke machine is you have to close off the system you're smoking, which means you gotta, if you're smoking an intake and looking for an intake leak, you have to close off where the throttle body is or where the air filter goes so smoke just doesn't pour out. So I saw this tool, and I had to have it. And I ordered it kind of in the prototype stage, and I paid the price for it. That would be right there. No, it's not a blood pressure cuff. What this is a bellows. We can kind of close it off here. Sorry about the guerrilla videography here. I'm trying out a new camera, so I don't know if you guys are in the shot. Hopefully it works out. But anyways, this tool here, they call this the Redline Easy Intake. Now, what this is it has a hose right here, which you would hook your smoke machine up to, and then you pumped it up, and it inflates that bladder, and you stick this into your throttle body, you stick this into your intake, and it not only will block off so smoke can't get out, it gives you a tube so you can actually put the smoke in this tube. Sometimes they have you disconnect the fuel pressure regulator and you go through there, or you disconnect the brake booster vacuum line and you go in there. The trouble with doing that is you can't test those systems that you're using to put the smoke in. So you're kind of isolating part of what could be the problem. And I've had power vacuum brake boosters fail, cause an intake leak, and then you test it through its vacuum line, then you're not going to find a problem and you're going to miss the problem. This eliminates that. This will conform to whatever size hole you've got to plug. Real neat tool, but like I said, I paid the price for this. I think I paid off the truck because it was so hard to find when I bought it. I think I paid almost $300 for that. But I've had some times where it saved me a lot of trouble because it was able to pinpoint where the leak was, and I didn't have to fumble and fidget trying to find a way to close the intake manifold off. You just shove that in there, pump it up, gives you a place to put the smoke, good to go. Really cool tool. I doubt none of you guys have heard about that one yet. We'll just put that over there on the cart. So that brings us to number 2. Now, number 2 is a tie. You're working on a car nowadays, and what are the two main things that happen? Your check engine light comes on, or a sensor fails. Sometimes the check engine light will tell you what sensor, oxygen sensor, throttle position sensor, what have you, and you know what the code is set for, but you don't know why. So it's a tie between a scanner, because you need to know what the check engine light is, and a multimeter. These are from Mac. This is my, I think what is this, an EM710 I think I bought. Yeah, EM710. Now this is probably the nicest multimeter I've ever owned. There are some features on this I really like. Probably the feature I like the most is right here. It comes with a really nice manual that has all the tests, every test you could ever want to do. It tells you not only how to test the component, where to hook the meter up, which lug to put your test leads. Really handy thing. And then another thing this comes with, which I'm really like about this, which I didn't know when I bought it, is if you look inside, I don't know if we can see it, you see that little red thing right there? And when I move it, it disappears. See how it goes in and out? Now it's over here. Now it's over here. They did that so you can't hook this tool up wrong. If you're testing what's amps or voltages or something, it won't let you hook the leads into the wrong place and blow your fuses. Very handy feature. Very handy feature. Again, that's an EM710. If you're going to buy a multimeter, this is a good bet right here. I think it was like a little under $300. It does, the everything a regular multimeter does. It does, you can check timing with it. You can check temperatures with it. It's a temp probe. Really cool meter. And then that place is tied with a scanner. It doesn't have to be a scanner like that. You can have a cheapo little, this was like a $30 scanner, which is for a weekend warrior, is as good as you need. It gets you in the ballpark. And then this right here will tell you what's wrong with what that tells you to look at. So between these two tools, it's really hard to work on cars nowadays and not just throw parts at it without these two things. So they are tied for number 2. So, as usual, I have 3 honorable mentions to show you, and let's get right into those. Number 3 would be, wrong draw, my giant pick set. Now, a lot of people are like, why do you need giant picks? The small picks should do everything fine. Well, these giant picks are a lot stronger than these, You can use these to like really pry on. They're really good for taking like hard to get connectors off, or this one here works really good for getting frozen on radiator hoses. So number 3 of my honorable mentions is going to be my giant pick set. Number 2 of my honorable mentions, some of you might have seen me use this before, and that is going to be my Mac Tools air-powered vacuum. I believe it's called I believe they call it the Coanda effect, where you blow air one way and it causes a vacuum behind it, and it sucks the whatever you got. This is great for like if you're going to pull an intake manifold off. You use this to get all the acorns and dust, so none of that gets inside of the motor. This is great for getting mouse nests that are hard to get. You use the hose attachment to get like mouse nests that are down inside of an air box out. So that's what is it, number 2 of my honorable mention, and number 1 of my honorable mention tools. Right here. Right here. This right here is a serpentine belt tensioner tool. What you use this for is to get inside of all those tight spots that you got a spring tensioner to take the belts off. It's got a nice ratchet end on it that fits into that, and then you use whatever end fits on your tensioner, and instead of fiddling with pry bars or a short wrench, you use that right there. Pops those serp belts right on, right off. That's a cool tool right there. So my number 1, what is my number 1 top tool that I use every day, that if I didn't have it, I'd get so aggravated, and that's going to be my service cart. When you're working on a car and you're taking a lot of stuff apart, I see a lot of guys just put the parts on where the hood would close, on the fenders, on different areas of the motor, pile tools on the battery, pile tools on the cowl. That's not the way to do it. That's not the way to do it. You never put a tool under the hood of a car, unless you're actually physically using that tool, and when you release that tool from your hand, it goes on the cart. Just like nuts and bolts that you take off a car, they all go inside of my little organizer here. So you group hardware onto your cart, you keep your tools onto your cart. That way when you're done, you put all your tools away from your cart, and if there's any parts that are missing or parts still on your cart, hardware or whatever, then you're not done with the job. You know right away, hey, I've got a 10 millimeter bolt here. Where's this go? But if you've got it under the hood of a car, it could be on the cowl, on a fender. It's real easy to forget that part. It's real easy to forget that tool. The car goes out with your tools without the hardware in the right spot. So my number 1 is a service cart. If you're doing this all the time, or even if you're just doing this at your house, the analog would be just have a tray like this to put your tools and hardware on while you're working on a car, shade tree mechanic style. If you don't have the space for the cart or the need for the cart, don't put hardware, don't put tools under the hood. You will lose them, and that gets expensive really fast. So anyways, guys, that is my top 10 tools that I use all the time that I didn't think all of you may have heard of. So I hope this puts some of what I buy into perspective, some of my toolbox into perspective. This was a little bit of a tour that you guys have been asking for years. How about a tour of the toolbox? How about a tour of the toolbox? Well, that's pretty much everything. There's my socket drawer, my wrench drawer, American wrenches, Ratchet wrenches. These are big too. Those are big. Ratchet. If you ain't got yourself a set of Ratchet wrenches and you work on stuff, even a cheap set that you get from wherever. There's my different screwdrivers, measuring equipment, torches, Allen wrench stuff, those giant picks. These are another neat tool. The panel, the panel clip tools. I really like having those. And then we got the plier drawer under that, all my pliers, vice grips. I don't really use vice grips a ton. Mostly for stuff that's need a nut, a bolt that needs to be held that's spinning, or sway bar end links. I use those, but yeah, a real long. Those are handy too, long pliers. And then the next drawer is my air tool drawer with all my air tools. Keep my serp belt tool in there because there's space. You know, a lot of money. Everything's name brand in there. You guys will remember the micro lithium drill review I did. That thing's still going strong. A little cheesier feeling for how much it costs, but still works pretty well. And the next drawer is my hammers, that air vac. I've got it all disheveled because I was showing you guys. Pry bars, power steering, pulley tool. And then the next drawer is my, metalworking stuff, my 4-inch grinder stuff, that boost leak test tool. I got an air heat gun, some vitamins. You gotta have vitamins. And then pretty much over here is just, my diagnostic drawer. This is where my electrical test equipment goes, test lights, multimeter. My higher end personal scanner goes in that drawer. And then these drawers are all just personal paperwork, bills. Sometimes I got to take care of the hair. Sonnet books, hardware. Next drawer up is kind of like my personal drawer. Just some stuff going on. I still got one more Svenska Aeroplan, a couple more AMZ's Corner badges, and faded picture of my daughter. It's actually it's her birthday, her fourth birthday. Happy birthday, Becca. Wish I had another picture of her. Wish I had a better picture of her. No, some other pictures, some old stuff I had, old boats. That's that picture of me and my son, me and my little boy. Well, anyways, guys, that was kind of a quick tour and top 10 list of my top 10 tools. I hope that was informative, and until next time, keep it out of the cabbage.